What if your garden isn't as safe as you think it is? Let's talk about how to fix contaminated soil and make it growable again. Old paint, runoff, city dust, they can all leave behind toxins. So, looking at situations that are specific to your individual self, that maybe you brought it in knowingly or not knowingly. Also, going to over local environmental things, and then we are going to talk about the world disaster toxicity piece of the contaminated soil conversation. So stick around till the end for that part. Team replay. Did you ever wonder what might be hiding in your soil? What's your go to plant that helps bring life back to the soil? What contamination has affected you? I would love to hear your story. If it's too big, too long to put in the comments, email me, shawneegrows@gmail.com. I want to hear your story. I want to know how it happened, how you felt, how you fixed it. We're going to cover understanding contamination. So, short term safety, remediation methods, long term soil healing, prevention, and then rebuilding. So, we have a lot of information to cover. There are tons of links in the description. I love links, just like Jay Dixon and Janet likes links. I see Miss Sharon is here. Brooke Trout is here. There was another, Richard is here. Thank you all for being here for our um, Friday show. We had a time slot that we could fill. So even the most damaged soil can come back to life. And there is articles and videos proving this to back up what I'm going to talk about. Just like people, the earth can heal. It just needs care, patience, and love. So I am not a soil expert at all. I don't have an education in soil science. I'm just connecting you with information so we can have this conversation and then we just keep adding to it, right? The learning as you grow never ends, okay? I see Eddie in the chat. Good to see you. Somebody say hi, Eddie. Okay, so I have notes. I'm not sure where I'm going to put them yet. Before we can fix a contaminated garden, we first need to understand what contamination actually is. So, simply put, it's when harmful substances, things that don't belong in healthy soil, build up where we're trying to grow our food. It can even be our flowers. I see Ryan's Variety and Talk. Welcome to the conversation. These can come from things that happened years ago. Maybe you bought a property or you inherited something and you had no clue. Maybe there was old paint, gas spills, glass buried underground, modern sources like the sides, the pesticides, the herbicides, the fungicides, things kicking up off the road. Maybe there's somebody next door using something that you don't like and you get a drift into your garden. The pressure treated wood, those are all things to consider. So sometimes contamination comes from everyday things we might know about, maybe some of it we don't know about. Now, I think it's homes built before 1978. There's Janet. We're talking about you liking links. There's lots of links in the description for everyone to have homework because I love giving you something to do, right? So peeling lead-based paint near garden areas, petroleum products, oil spills from cars. Maybe there's garage spillage and it rained and it's running into your compost pile. Driveways, overuse or historic chemical applications in the garden or near you. Maybe you have a neighbor that really likes to use those things. Troy, welcome to the conversation. Happy Friday. Again, the pressure treated lumber, arsenic from garden beds, fences, decks built before 2004, household chemicals. Maybe somebody spray painted their house. And I don't mean like a can. I mean like professionally had their house painted by spray. And maybe it was a windy day and maybe it got on your garden. Is there an insurance for that? What are we going to do? Cleaners can leach into soil. Janet says, "Oh, I did have a talk with my neighbor about spraying weed killer along the shared fence. That is definitely a place that is a struggle for gardeners and the neighbors to prevent that. It's like moving our gardens way away from that edge, knowing that that neighbor uses those types of things. Now, of course, we can be educators and we can be role models and we can try to get the neighbor to not do that, to do something different, right? Even compost or soil that you bring in from outside. Maybe you went and bought something from a local company or a farmer can sometimes carry contaminants. So that's why knowing the source, having the conversation, asking them the questions, and testing if needed. You know, take some of it, and we're going to talk about ways to test it before you put it all over your garden. Is just as important as checking your own backyard soil. So thinking of it as checking your ingredients before cooking. Okay, you want the garden to be healthy from the ground up. Okay, so common causes using compost made from unsafe materials. So, Big Will Dog 82 in the soil. Hello. Welcome to the conversation. Grass clippings. Maybe your neighbor was like, "Hey, I have all these extra grass clippings. It looks like you could use them for your compost." And you say, "Sure," without asking the question, was it treated with herbicides like a weed and feed? Did it have anything sprayed on it? Because maybe you didn't like bugs. Maybe your yard waste was exposed to any of the contaminants we talked about in the previous little chunk of information there. Jay Dixon, or the neighbor could become a tree hugger. We have to influence as much as we can for the good of the earth, right? So maybe you've purchased compost and they told you, yep, it's finished. But maybe you get it home and you start planting things in it. And we're going to talk about the signs of how do you know it's bad? Maybe that happened. Maybe there's traces of heavy metals or contaminants. Maybe the feedstock was not monitored. Maybe there was chemicals sprayed on the food that the animal ate and it went through the animal and it's still in the manure and now it's not fully composted and worked its way out. It's not safe. It's going to be in there for years and now you just bought it to put on your garden. Recycled soil from unsafe sources. So, soil from demolished buildings, construction sites, industrial areas may carry metals, chemicals, or petroleum residues. So, if somebody out there is like, "I have free soil, come pick up by the truckload," where is it coming from? We got to ask these questions. Okay. So, tips for safe use: always know your compost source. Jay Dixon says most grass clipping neighbors are also addicted to herbicides. You got to know what's going on if you're going to accept stuff. Have strict rules on, I will not take that if, and then you lay it out, right? So always knowing your compost source. Oh, it's really hard to make enough to compost. I completely hear you. Buy certified organic or locally trusted compost. Have the conversation, have them prove it, have it tested. Check for contamination. So if you suspect chemicals or heavy metals, test the compost before adding to your garden. I think a common test is plant a bean in it, right? How many of you know any tips or tricks on like testing without buying a tool? You know, like tried and true ways. Dilute cautiously, so mix with clean soil or use in a raised bed instead of planting directly in the ground. Avoid using suspected compost for edible crops. It's safe to use for ornamentals sometimes, maybe a cover crop or soil building layers, depending on what's happening. Okay, hold on. I think we have. So, have you ever had your soil tested? I would like to know. And we have Diva in the Dirt here listening on the phone, making the bread. Adam made it. Hey, Adam. Jay says, question, I will be gifted 5 bales of straw from unknown sources. My guess is herbicides. So can I safely compost, store away from soil for a year or two? Let's see if we answer that question in the show, and then we'll come back to that. I think for straw bales, for sure, there's going to be what's the word? Priming them? Big Will Dog says, if any input kills my bean plants, I don't use it. Takes 2 weeks for a biopsy test. So I hear beans, plant beans in the stuff that you've received, and they will like show signs of damage. Janet, I have not had my soil tested. I haven't either, Janet. I haven't either. And possibly now, with the channel's growth and abilities that's happening, I could pay for a soil test and I could talk about it with everybody. Excuse me. Let's see what we have next to talk about. Local environmental contamination. Okay, so sometimes the contamination comes from land or environment itself, not from anything we did. So floodwaters. Rivers and storm water can carry heavy metals, fertilizers, sewage into your garden. Okay, industrial dust, nearby factories, power plants, mining areas can deposit metals or toxins up into the air and it drifts into your garden. Roads and highways, runoff from asphalt, tires, vehicles leaves lead, cadmium, and petroleum residues. So having that barrier of maybe a hedgerow even keeping your gardens so many feet away from a road or highway. Airborne pollutants like smoke, chemical drift from nearby farms, urban smog can settle on soil and plants. So even if your own yard hasn't been touched, the environment around you can also bring things in. Okay. Now there's also extreme contamination. And this is just, we're going to go into the signs after this. So maybe you already know where I'm going with this. Okay. Like conflicts, disasters, accidents, bombing, and explosions can leave heavy metals, rubble, and toxic residues in the soil. Chemical spills from accidents, train derailments, factory explosions, or fuel leaks, nuclear or radioactive fallout contaminate soil, water, and even the air. Burnt buildings or infrastructure, the ash and debris can contain metals and chemical toxins. So if contamination comes from a disaster or war zone, safety is always first. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about the steps on maybe things we could take into our own hands versus waiting for authorities to declare things because, maybe authorities aren't so trustworthy, but that is not this kind of show. Okay. Brook Trout one says we use a lot of black cow compost manure. And it sounds like it's tried and true for you. There's somebody selling cow manure that's been it's like a dust powder. I don't remember what that's called. And I thought, well, I don't know anything about them. Okay, so signs your soil might be contaminated. Do I have what's this one? I don't think we're on that banner yet. These aren't always obvious, but we can look at poor plant growth, even with good care. If you're giving it everything it needs and it's not going well, something's wrong. A strange odor is obvious. A residue is obvious. Oily, discolored patches of soil, history of industrial or heavy use of things. But don't just rely on how things look or smell. It keeps coming back to this. We need to test everything. So how to test the soil. Decide what to test for. Okay, heavy metals, chemicals, general nutrients. Collecting samples. Any kit is going to have its own description on how to collect soil, but to just give a brief overview, using a clean trowel and bucket, take small scoops from 4 to 6 spots in your garden, mix them together, let it dry. Package and label it. The lab has directions for that. There are links in the description for soil labs. Send to the lab. Okay, contacting your local county extension office is where I would go first. But if that makes you uncomfortable, there's also companies that'll ship things to your house, pay online, ship it to your house, ship it back to them. There's university agriculture departments or environmental testing services. So waiting for the results is going to take some time, but when you submit all this stuff, you're going to say in there, maybe you want the whole thing. You want things lead, arsenic, cadmium, plus all of the how much organic matter do I have, plus NPK, plus all that stuff. Is there pesticide residue in there? So again, like the testing part of it. When in doubt, your local extension office is your best first stop. They can tell you what tests are most useful in your area. So, raised beds with clean soil. Destiny's coming in. Hey, Destiny. I thought you would be at a different show tonight. Okay, sunflowers to help. Like, can we plant them every year in between our regular crops if appropriate, versus shade shadow just in case? Two things come to my mind. One is the allelopathy of sunflowers, which we are going to cover in a future show. What plants produce a smell or are vigorous that push other plants out? And sometimes sunflowers shouldn't be planted in certain places, but yes, sunflowers are on the list. Spoiler alert, we're going over a list of things to plant to pull out toxins. Sunflowers will help. How to use them is going to be covered in a little bit here. Diva says signs that it's bad. Everything dies. That's a really good sign. And Jay is throwing out some facts. That's right. Destiny says in the Victorian Kitchen Garden TV series, the head gardener Harry Dodson showed how they sterilized overused soil during World War II when they had victory gardens to feed the soldiers overseas. Do you want to send me the link in the email category of life, Destiny? Because I'm going to talk about the description here at some point. So many good people out there are fixing bad soil, contaminated soil, and I love it so much. And it was tedious, Destiny says, but I guess it worked. Even finished compost still gets the bioacid before hitting the beds and the pots. Richard says, my garden at the office was dead ground for at least 30 years plus. Dug in a lot of compost and organic fertilizer, growing plants now. Adam may have some opinions about soil testing. I must have missed a comment. Destiny says, oh, I didn't know that sunflowers, so cool, kind of like fennel and some plants, I guess. We're going to talk about how to use plants to pull toxins out in this show, but we are getting prepped for, I don't know how to say it. Is it allelopathic plants that have a certain kind of, like, well, black walnuts is an example. That's an easy one that people know. Crazy Life Homestead, hello. Destiny, yes, send you the link. Okay, cool. Oh, we have a soil biology nerd in the chat, everybody. Okay. Let's say you've been contaminated. Let's go to, whoops, not that one. Okay, raised beds with clean soil. The first option is to build raised beds and fill them with the clean, fresh soil and compost. This is one of the easiest and safest ways to keep gardening while avoiding contaminated ground. Like if you just came in on somewhere and you're like, well, we can't grow here, we're going to have to build up, right? Using untreated wood, stone, metal, recycled materials, avoiding the pressure treated things. Aim for 12 to 18 inches deep of new soil. If you want to add cardboard to the bottom, we've talked about how to fill a raised bed in a previous live stream. Gardner Scott has a fantastic book about raised bed gardening, and the reason I bought it was actually for the soil chapter. So highly encourage that. I don't have a link to that book in the description at this time, but I will have one later. Of course, mixing in your compost for nutrients and healthy microbes. So think of a raised bed as a fresh start. You're building a brand new healthy ecosystem right on top of the old one. Oh, you know what I just thought of? I forgot to mark that question Jay had with the star raw bales with like the star thing that I have access to. I got to remember to use the tools I have behind the scenes here. But I think I'll remember it. So barriers. If raised beds are not an option yet, you can still create protective barriers between your plants and contaminated soil. Geotextile fabric, thick mulch, wood chip straw, leaves 6 inches deep help reduce dust in contact. Some kind of sheeting. Barriers act like shields. They don't fix the problem, but they stop it from spreading or coming into contact with your crops. So like if you know you live by somewhere that sprays, having something growing or built to capture it before it drifts in, excellent. Destiny says, ooh, allelopathy. Now that is super exciting. Looking forward to it. It was suggested by all of you, so I will provide, of course. And then Miss Sharon has Gardner Scott's channel. Thank you. Troy says, I reuse my potting soil, but bake them in the oven, then add nutrients to it before reusing. Big Will Dog Tony's book on composting is great. Yes. What is it called? Well, he has a lot of books. Very deep in the weeds though. So Tony, is it Simplify Gardening? He has like a composting masterclass book, so it's really nerdy. And he has a bunch of other books too, so I'm assuming he has ranges of beginner. I can't remember at the top of my head right now. Brook Trout says we just put old potting soil in the garden. Why cook it in the oven, Troy? I've heard of people cooking soil in the oven to take bugs out of it. Sanitize it is the word, I think, for bringing it inside. Um, does baking take any viruses or funguses out? I think so. I'm also like not on the level of wanting to bake soil in my oven. Big Will Dog says if you find something that blocks the dust made by large combine tractors, let me know. What comes to mind is like your short shrub first, right on the edge of where the field is, tall like a poplar, and then an evergreen, and then your garden's like not even close to that. But it's hard because out in the country, it's so windy. Like right now, there's corn husks everywhere, and the one field hasn't even been picked yet. And I have filmed the October garden tour, but I haven't edited it yet. So we're here instead talking. Container gardening are your best friend when you cannot trust the ground yet. So using large pots, grow bags, or even repurposed buckets with drainage holes, fill with some kind of potting soil, make your own mix, clean compost, great for herbs and greens, peppers, smaller vegetables, and you can group containers together and still have a full garden experience. So we did shows about container gardening, best herbs for that, tips and tricks on where to put them. Container gardening lets you grow safely anywhere, your patios, your balconies, even over the contaminated area without the risk. And you know what else it makes me think of? Let's say you got a warning of contamination is coming in some way, or maybe like some bad weather's coming. Those containers can get moved into a garage, a basement, a kitchen, wherever, your bathroom. So remediation methods. Do I have a Who here already grows in raised beds and containers? What's your favorite container crop? So I did my ginger and turmeric in containers, which I did not bring to the show. They're in the basement right now. We were supposed to open them live. Maybe we'll have to have a separate live stream for that because I feel like this one's going to be super full. Adam says, Shawnee, I'm a certified soil micro lab technician. My business is on pause for a little while. Why is it on pause? Okay. We have a certified soil micro lab technician in the chat, everybody. Yes, Diva says, yay for getting the October tour done. Yes, it's filmed. Who wants to take a guess at what it looks like? Tony O'Neill is who we were talking about. Yep. Okay. Potatoes in containers was also taught well by Simplify Gardening. Beto, how's it going? We're talking about contamination and soil. Heading into a big conversation here, bioremediation, so healing with plants. There is an ad and I skipped it so I can see what's going on. Bioremediation is just a fancy word for using plants to pull or lock up toxins in the soil. It's nature's cleanup crew. So how it works, certain plants take up or absorb contaminants like heavy metals, or they help microbes in the soil break them down. So what are good cleanup plants? I know somebody already threw out sunflowers. Excellent for pulling up lead and other metals. Mustard greens pull out heavy metals like cadmium and lead. Ferns, something called brake fern, absorbs arsenic from the soil. Willow and poplar trees are good for large areas or waterlogged zones. So once these plants have done their job, once you've put them in a place to pull out the toxins. Don't compost them. Don't burn them. Those contaminants are now inside the plant. The safest way is to bag and dispose of the yard waste at whatever drop-off site works in your area. So think of these plants like sponges. They're going to soak up the bad stuff so your future garden can thrive. Now there's also micromediation, so healing with fungi. Fungi are some of the best detoxifiers on the planet. Their underground networks can actually digest certain toxins. So how does it work? Fungi like oyster mushrooms, Potorus ostratus, can break down things like fuel, oil, or pesticide residue. Their enzymes transform harmful chemicals into safer forms. So how do you try it? You're mixing straw or wood chips into contaminated soil and inoculating with the mushroom spawn. Keeping it moist and shaded, you let the fungi grow through for several months. Afterwards, you can test your soil again before you plant anything in it. It's incredible. Okay, mushrooms don't just feed us, they heal the ground beneath us. And so I'm going to say a couple more things about healing the soil. And then there is a fantastic video in the description of talking about this exact thing. Okay. One of the most powerful and accessible ways to begin healing soil is by simply feeding it. Okay, compost and organic matter bind contaminants, making them less available to plants. They also dilute toxins by adding clean material and feed the beneficial microbes that help neutralize pollutants. So, how do we do it? Add 2 to 4 inches of compost over your soil each season. You can grow cover crops like clover, rye. You should grow lots of diversity in a cover crop. Till them back in, uh, crimp them, tarp them, winter kill them. Avoid using materials that are not trusted. Okay, so healthy living soil can heal itself over time when it's given the right food and protection. There's also soil flushing and leaching. This is only used for mild contamination. So this method works when you have things like excess salts, fertilizer residue, light chemical buildup, but it's not right for every site. So how it works, water is used, okay, to gently flush contaminants deeper into the ground and flush it away from the root zone. It should only be done where runoff won't carry pollutants into streams or other gardens. So if you're near a slope or a waterway, skip flushing and focus on plants and compost instead. That's a safer, more sustainable way. Where I see this suggested in my gardening group it's on Facebook for Minnesota, herbicide drift. So if somebody, hey, good day, says Radio Jonesy. If somebody sprayed their yard on a windy day and it blew into your garden, the first thing we're told to do in this group is water everything to clean off the leaves as best as you can. Water it so things run out, right? Flush it. There's also long term. So before I say long term, which method do you think is fascinating? Plants. So planting specific crops like the sunflowers, the mustard, the fern, the fungi, just composting. Healing soil isn't instant, but every season you feed and care for it, the land grows stronger. So nature already knows how to heal and clean itself. We just need to help it sometimes. So because I was talking about in the description, so why fungi, why micromediation is an article. Then how to test manure for grazon is a video by David the Good. The really good video must watch is from PBS. Okay, big fan of PBS. It's Can Fungi Solve California's Toxic Soil Problem? It was so fascinating. You should totally watch it. It's not that long, okay? You can handle it. You could watch it while you're in the bathroom. Then today at It's All About the Biology, they had Matthew Trum on from Treetop Permaculture, and he's going to offer classes. Like there's a whole team of people that are going to teach about a lot of it had to do with fire management, how to prep your property and plant well so when fire comes, it's not going to wipe it out, how to work after a fire, how to work with fire, because not, we've seen many years where it's beneficial, right? So that was fantastic. There's more links that are related to the next topic that I'll talk about when we get there. But if you want to purchase mycorrhizal fungi, there are links in the description under purchase. There's also soil testing kits. So hopefully some of that will help you along. Jess from Roots and Refuge, let me see if I can find it on this side actually, had the same issue that year. She tested and they suggested the same thing. Compost tea, yes. She is in the description as well for her process on finding out how they found out, how they fixed it, what they planted, and then how often they did tea, compost tea, and like worm casting extract. And wait, what? Bow tie, I'm at a huge Mardi Gras party. What? Party on bow tie, I guess. Diva says, when I had bought organic soil from Big Box Soil, I did bring a microbe powder that I could help boost the roots. But what helped my garden was using the poo-poo juice. Yeah. Compost tea, fermented plant juices. Let's see if I have any more. Big Will Dog says to Jay, all my neighbors have been spoken to nicely about why they need to stop spraying if they don't listen. A lot of things are going to happen over there. Okay. So, long-term soil healing. This is where we have more familiar things that are tools for us, right? So once the contamination is under control, how do we keep the soil healthy for the long run? The next part is all about restoring life in the ground. So turning damaged dirt back into that living soil that supports plants, pollinators, and of course, people. Because when we have healthy plants, bugs don't want to eat it. But when we eat it, it gives us good gut health, right? Because that immune system is healthy in the plant. So adding biochar and humic substances. So let's start with biochar. It's basically, well, no, I'm not going to read that sentence because I don't agree with that. It's like a sponge that locks up toxins and holds nutrients where plants can use them. Who talked about biochar recently? Was it It's All About the Biology? That might be linked in the description too. No, maybe it was the Urban Gardener had the biochar lady on. Now I can't remember. Probably both. Biochar binds heavy metals and prevents them from moving through the soil. Having the biochar inoculated with like a compost tea, having it charged, it improves drainage, holds moisture, and gives beneficial microbes a home. Works best when mixed with compost before adding to the garden. You have to charge it. It was the Urban Gardener that had the biochar. There's a book that I want to buy. It's in my cart for when I can buy books again. You can make small batches of biochar from clean wood. You also can buy biochar in certain places. Farm on Central sells it for sure. I wanted to find someone more local, like in Minnesota. Sometimes they'll sell you how to infuse it with nutrients, or they'll pre-charge it for you. Think of it as giving your soil lungs. It helps it breathe again. So humic substances found in compost and humates, these are the natural compounds that bind metals and feed microbes. You can build rich compost. We talked about that. Building compost. There's lots of sources out there on how to compost. It can be as simple and basic or complicated as you want it to be, but together, biochar and that humic acid in compost act like filters. They catch the bad stuff and make the good stuff last. So we also want to be encouraging microbial activity. Crazy Life Homestead says the Holler Homestead Ben has a few videos on compost and biochar. Thank you for that resource. I have been there before, yeah. Maureen has videos on making her poo-poo juice. Crazy Life Homestead says I use the fire pit char in the compost bin for this mix. As long as you haven't burned bad things in there, right? Biochar handbook. Yes, I totally want that book. Okay. So we can do things to the soil, but we really need the microbes to finish and complete this whole cycle. They're the living engine of soil detoxification. So ways to boost microbial life: add finished compost and compost teas regularly. I want to be on a fertilizer schedule of every 2 weeks, and we're going to talk about that in the future live stream of reflecting on the 2025 season. So make sure you are subscribed to be notified when that show happens. Keeping the soil covered has been a huge lesson for me. Mulch, living plants, cover cropping even. Maybe there's a part of the garden that I'm not going to use for 3 months, just cover crop it, right? Rotating crops, growing the cover crops to feed the diverse microbes. This is talked about a lot lately in things that I've been listening to. Avoid disturbing the soil too often. Less tilling keeps the microlife stable. Microbes can transform harmful chemicals into safer forms, fix nitrogen, and even break down petroleum compounds. Healthy soil literally cleans itself when the microbes are thriving. Oh, wow. Bowtie uses the word queen at Shawnee Grows, talking about shorts with opus clips. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Crazy Life took down 2 trees. That's perfect. I love that. So it's not like you were burning garbage. You know better. I know that. Now, since we're doing all of this effort to feed the microbes, we need to remember to avoid chemical fertilizers and pesticides. This part is simple but powerful. The more we feed the soil naturally, the stronger it becomes. Chemical fertilizers and pesticides might give it a quick fix, but they weaken the system over time. Okay. Synthetic fertilizers bypass microbes so the soil stops supporting them. It's a big communication. Rhizophagy in the root system with the soil microbes. They need to be able to talk to each other. That's why we are not going to be using synthetic fertilizers. Many pesticides harm beneficial fungi and bacteria along with the pests. Just have good companions, have good beneficial predators and pollinators, and let the nature do what it needs to do. Overuse of chemicals leads to dependency. The soil becomes like a patient on life support. We don't want that. We want that open communication and that beautiful soil food web to be working with the plants and talking to each other, not relying on something you need to give them. Your compost, your worm castings, your organic amendments, adding all kinds of organic matter in the end of the season, controlling pests with just your companion planting, beneficial insects, whatever you deem is okay in your garden. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just providing information, okay? Feeding the soil, not just the plant, and your garden will stay balanced. So healthy soil is like a healthy gut. Hello. When you nurture the good bacteria, everything else starts working better. So, what's your favorite natural soil booster? What's your go-to? Maybe it's all of this. Compost, worm castings, cover crops. Going to the comments. Adam says diversity of beneficial micro and macrobiology along with organic matter is the key to success in any garden. I know Jay looks at the gardeners in this chat. We have the good companions. Troy says rotating crops can rejuvenate the soil naturally. And you know what else it does, Troy? Maybe you have a really big pest that's just taken over with its life cycle in an area because that's where you had a certain crop. Like, for example, popcorn. If you rotate and you don't plant popcorn anywhere near there, those little guys can only travel so far. So if they are born and they have no host plant, they have no food source, they will die, their life cycle will end, and we don't have to deal with them anymore. Okay? It's fantastic. Big Will Dog 82 in the soil says naturally robust and alive compost and worm castings are my secrets to gardening success. I love worm castings and I love buying them by the bag instead of farming my own. I know, I'm sorry. I had a worm farm before. I will possibly go back to it at some point. Going to the banners to see where we're going with this next, because I don't know if I'm saying that one yet. I'm not sure. So, where not to plant food crops. And this is something interesting because it says old houses, barns, sheds because of the possibility of lead paint, asbestos, oil, chemical leaks. And I see people do food landscape around barns in the past, but maybe it's been, you know, remedied and fed and paint's been changed, and it's totally fine. Roadsides and driveways. There's vehicle residue, salt, heavy metals. Don't put food there. Could you put something beautiful there? Of course. Not food. And then old burn pits or areas with ash or blackened soil that have high toxins that, back in the day, old farmers just buried everything. Don't put food there. That'd be like your ornamental pollinator stuff, maybe. Soil testing every 6 to 12 months can help you track or monitor your progress. If you really want to know about metals and contaminants, make sure that's included with the lab test that you chose, not just pH and nutrients. Keeping a journal, whether that's this kind of thing, a video, audio, writing. Note the soil texture, take pictures of it, the smell, the worm count, plant vigor. These are early signs of recovery. And again, there are links in the description to different labs that might work for you. So we've talked about what are contaminants. We've talked about how to know it's contaminated. We talked about remedying the contamination and then rebuilding the healthy soil food web. So the compost teas, biochar, worm casting, fungal-rich compost, mycorrhizal fungi, and beneficial nematodes, cover crops, deep-rooted perennials, feeding the microbes and stabilizing the soil. Life heals life. I have never done mycorrhizal fungi, beneficial nematode stuff, but there's links in the description if you want to try it out, because I might next year. We're coming into frozen tundra land, so I can't do it now. We're going to go into the extreme contamination, so I'm going to make sure I have said the things I need to say. Healing soil isn't just about removing toxins, it's about rebuilding life. There's an entire life underneath our feet. Every handful of compost, every living root, every bit of care adds up. Over time, your soil will be thriving. So as a community, maybe you have this action plan already implemented. Do you think more communities should learn how to test and rebuild soil after disasters? I'm sure right now when we hear the word disaster, we think of a few near us or ones that we've just seen. And you go, I wonder how they're dealing with that. How are the gardeners doing? I can think of a few places. So let's talk about the extremes. Sometimes contamination doesn't come from your own yard. It can come from outside sources like a train derailment, a chemical plant explosion, or even fallout from the air after a disaster. These events can release toxins that drift, settle, and soak into the soil. So what can you safely do if something like that happens near you? Well, we need to talk about safety. Safety first. Before anything else, you need to be taking the steps to protect yourself. So after any major chemical or radiation event, always follow local emergency instructions first. So don't entering or working in places that officials have said are contaminated. You're staying indoors or evacuate if you're told. Avoid touching soil, plants, or rainwater runoff until tested. Don't eat any produce from your garden after exposure to these kinds of things. Remember, we can just rebuild it. Your health is more important in that moment. Getting testing and information. So let's say all clear has been called, but do we really trust what's happening with our soil? We need to have it tested. Maybe the state environmental agencies, or again, your local extension service, can provide those chemical residue lab tests for radiation, heavy metals, chemical residues. Sometimes the EPA is involved. Keep track of where the samples come from. So if you're doing like a front yard test, a garden test, a rain barrel test, they need to be labeled. The key is to know what kind of contamination you're dealing with. So chemical, heavy metal, radioactive, they each have a different approach. So let's say you have results back and it's safe for you to be there. What's our action plan? Removing surface debris, ash, dust, dead plants, wearing gloves and a mask, bagging it up. Add clean compost and topsoil layers. This dilutes surface contaminants and gives the microbes a fresh start. So growing non-edible healing crops like grasses, clover, sunflowers to help rebuild structure and absorb whatever else is sitting in there. So that might mean not growing for a couple years. Avoid planting food right away. I mean, at least a full growing season with the remedy methods we've talked about, testing again, confirming. And then, of course, you can use containers or raised beds with clean soil while this cleanup is happening. Sometimes the damage is too severe. Maybe you think of a place right now in your head that might have had that happen with because of humans getting into things they shouldn't have and meddling. So, capping with clean soil, gravel, or turf to prevent exposure. Planting ornamentals or pollinator plants only, not food crops. Partnering with environmental restoration groups to come up with a plan on how to fix it. It's okay to grieve the loss of the space, but remember that nature always finds a way back, and you can start again nearby or in raised beds. So, there's links in the description about Chernobyl and cleaning up that soil and having life grow again in it. Let's see. Nuclear fallout survival gardening, micromediation impacted in war activities, rejuvenating flooded soil, 5 signs of contaminated soil. Can biology deal with radioactive soil? Yes. The Roots and Refuge Farm contaminated soil vlog. The Next Level Gardening has Toxic Garden, the hidden poison lurking in your soil. Reclaiming soil after exposure to nuclear contamination. And then soil remediation. Again, it's all about the biology. Has a gardener on there that speaks. He actually has his own channel now, which I don't think I put in here, the Invisible Gardener. He's been doing really good short talks, like 20 minutes on soil health, and it's fantastic. And then purchasing the nematodes, the mycorrhizal fungi, and the soil testing. So I'm going to go into mycorrhizal fungi. Maybe there's a comment in the chat. Have you ever experienced an industrial spill or heavy pollution near your garden? Adam says, my previous home I lived 8 years ago used to be where a World War II training camp was. Our property used to be where the missile ranges were. Our garden did great. 30 plus years ago, gardens didn't. That reminds me, there was a statistic I read. Over 1 million spots in the United States are contaminated. Like they're documented, logged, registered as no grow here. A million of them. Because of some stuff that happened. What? Yes, the Invisible Gardener. Thank you, Jay. Big Old Dog would like a force field to protect the garden when the fields get crop dusted. Yeah, it's like if only you had some kind of system where you just like tarped it, bubbled it while they were there, and then when they were gone, you got, okay, take the force field down. Big Wheel Dog says, I assume any of the farm fields across the street from me are contaminated areas. It's all about the biology that I keep mentioning. Layton, I think is his name, is a co-host on there, and he talks very highly, very knowledgeable about soil. Again, that video about like fixing the soil in California, I loved so much. Big umbrella, says Jay. Okay, so the mycorrhizae form a symbiotic relationship with plant roots, helping them absorb water and nutrients and improving soil structure. So, like, what does this even mean? How am I doing this? There's actually different types. There's a endomycorrhizal arbuscular fungi for most vegetables, herbs, and flowers, and then there's ectomycorrhizal types that are for trees like oaks, pines, and birch. So during planting or transplanting is actually the best time to put the fungi in because they need direct root contact to colonize. You're going to either have a powder, a granular that you can dust the root ball and sprinkle directly into the planting hole, or it's a liquid inoculant you're mixing with water, drenching the root zone, or use as a root dip before planting. Do not apply to dry soil. Moisture helps the spores activate. After you've done this, keep soil covered with mulch and avoid deep tilling. So if you want to buy some, there's a link in the description. And then the nematode thing. Beneficial nematodes are microscopic worms that target soil pests like grubs, fungus gnats, and root maggots while leaving earthworms and plants unharmed. They're a natural pest control and part of the soil balance. I think there's lots of different types though. Like I think there's a nematode that was specific for snails or slugs, and there's a nematode specific for, I'm not sure, but there's a bunch of sources like Arbico Organics might be one that I linked in the description, or maybe your local garden center is going to tell you on nematode talk. What happens is you mix it with water. There's a label with instructions. It might have a sponge or a powder that you soak in non-chlorinated water and applying the mix immediately because they're living microorganisms in there. Okay, it might not look like anything, but there's a whole world in there. When do you apply to moist soil? Early morning or evening is best, using a watering can, a pump sprayer, or a hose end sprayer. Keep the soil moist for 7 to 10 days afterwards so they can move and hunt the pests. Apparently, repeating every few months if your soil is heavily disturbed or compacted. You can use mycorrhizae and nematodes together. You just apply them a few days apart, starting with fungi first so the roots are colonized, and then bringing in nematodes to handle soil pests. Now, Big Old Dog says use of activated charcoal is said to help contain contaminants. Because biochar is not technically charcoal. So when you say activated charcoal, I feel like you're saying biochar, which we talked about. Tools. How can we have a toolkit to talk about the soil testing? Or is there anything out there for us to have so we don't have to rely on other people? Well, apparently they make lead test kits, at-home swab kits, to see if the paint, the soil, and the dust is lead in it. Arsenic and heavy metal kits. Some home garden kits can detect that. There's petroleum grease testing strips for small spills or runoff. Do-it-yourself soil pH and nutrient meters aren't for toxins, but you might be able to get like a reading on your soil health without sending it to a lab. I don't know how much these things cost. I don't have a source for where to buy any of these tools, to be honest. Because there's, we should just probably send it to the lab. I don't know. So, environmental working group soil kits, the X-ray fluorescence, handheld devices for XRF meters, water test kits I get, to see after you've had a flood, any runoff can detect nitrates, pesticides, or hydrocarbons. Anything for dust fallout testing kits, maybe a lab can get you one for that specific thing, or, a Geiger counter or dosimeter or handheld devices that measure radioactive stuff. Um, I don't know how long the kits, like, let's say you order a kit that's in the description, like Redmond's has one. Do they expire? Does anybody know? Does Adam know? Is he here? Oh, Robin Gardens is here. Hello. We've been talking about contaminated soil. Herbicide test kits, some at-home kits can um, detect the chemicals in compost. I don't have a link for that though. Anybody have any of this stuff? I don't know. Oh, here's a banner. Where did I leave off in the banners? Maybe whether it's a spill, a storm, or something worse, our connection to the soil gives us strength. Even after a disaster, we can come together, clean up, and grow again because healing the land is life. Prevention and rebuilding. What to avoid, how to test, how to rebuild, the same way a community rebuilds after conflict. The soil rebuilds too. It's a whole community. They have conversations. There's a whole web of stuff, layer by layer, life by life. So we talked about mycorrhizal fungi. They have a symbiotic relationship with plant roots, helping them absorb water and nutrients and improving soil structure. Of course, choosing the right type. This is what I was talking about. Endomycorrhizal and ectomycorrhizal. When you buy them, it comes with directions on how to apply it, how to care for it. And then the beneficial nematodes are microscopic worms that target soil pests. You can apply both, but you do the mycorrhizal first, and then you wait a couple days, and then you can do nematodes. Let's do a reminder. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the button. And if you already are, thank you. One of the best ways you can support is by sharing the channel with a friend, a neighbor, another gardener. We talked about tools. And I believe we have a list of crops coming up. Let me head into the chat. Dave Knight, good to see you here. Oh, here you are. Good evening, listening and watching the World Series. Ooh. Okay, nope, not banners. I need my notes. Come here, notes. So, recommendations. Start simple. Observe. Ask questions before you bring things in. Test things every year. Document. Use labs. Protect yourself. Crops list. Okay. So, sunflowers absorb lead, uranium, and other metals, great for large sunny areas. Indian mustard, Brassica juncea, I don't know if that's right, juncea, pulls up lead, cadmium, and selenium, fast growing. Thalspi carulicens, alpine pennycress, accumulates zinc and cadmium. Ferns, the brake fern, is excellent for arsenic. Vetiver grass stabilizes soil and absorbs heavy metals. Best plants for breaking down oil, gasoline, or fuel. Tall fescue or ryegrass. It encourages microbial degradation? No, degradation. There you go. Of petroleum. The willow and poplar trees. Roots stimulate hydrocarbon degrading microbes. Alfalfa. What? Deep roots enhance microbial activity in contaminated soil. Sunflowers, again. They can tolerate some hydrocarbons while stabilizing soil. Let's say that you're dealing with some pesticides or herbicides. Mustard greens can uptake herbicide residue. Clover and legumes improve microbial populations that break down organophosphates. Buckwheat, fast-growing cover crop that supports microbial breakdown. I think I have grown buckwheat before. I think I'm going to grow it as a hedgerow just to have somewhere to like chop and drop, and then it's this barrier between the grass and where the garden starts. Let's say you have excess salts and excess minerals. They can be impacted by the runoff from the road, right? Like we use salt here to deal with snow. Barley and oats take up sodium and improve soil structure. Beets tolerate high salinity and can help leach salts over time. Sunflowers, again, versatile for metal and salt stress. So, cover crops, I feel like, are your friend in these situations. Clover, rye, hairy vetch, buckwheat. Deep-rooted perennials like comfrey, daikon radish. I would even say curly dock, burdock, yarrow, stinging nettle should be on that list. Dandelion. Grasses like tall fescue, ryegrass prevent erosion and dust. Hey, prevent dust. You need tall grass, big wheel dog. But tips, okay, disposal. If you're using these plants in this form, the contaminated absorbing plants must not be composted or burned. You're supposed to bag and dispose of offsite. Rotation. Rotate the hyperaccumulators and soil rebuilding plants to avoid exhausting the soil. Multiple generations. Phytoremediation can take a season or several years, and it is a long-term process. And a lot of it, it's like you can't just do one thing. You have to like go through all the steps to do all the things. Testing, retesting, retracking. So I don't think I answered Jay's question. So I might have to like think about it. Because again, not an expert. Okay, where are we at in the chat? Ooh, Brooke says, what about burrowing rats? So I wanted to go over weird myth stuff. I think it was Homestead Aquarius that made me do it. Let's see if I have that here. I don't have an article to really prove it. There was a myth about potatoes, planting them to absorb toxins, and it's like, why would you waste a perfectly tasty, nutritious potato to absorb toxins to never use? Jay says yes, most contaminated. No, yes. Most contaminated soil test kits have an expiration date because the chemical reagents expire and can produce inaccurate results. I wonder how long one goes for. Like, is it 10 years? I feel like that I should just have one. Adam says, I count and calculate biomass of microbiology through a microscope and send reports for adjustments to improve soil and plant health. Oh, you are a great friend then. That's fantastic service that you offer to people. Oh, hi, Destiny says, this has been the best live ever. So informative from everyone. Yeah, all the gardeners in here speaking about what's worked for them. What? Robin says, hey friends, I was stuck in making a video for Mr. E's Halloween show. Oh, you must have been filming your outside. Radio Jonesy says, Livingstone close to the beach, we get salt on our cars and salt on our windows. So I'm assuming the salt must reach the plants as well. I bet, Radio Jonesy. Reading. Jay says, my research suggests that most straw bales are likely herbicide soaked. It seemed like soaking straw in water and then watering peas plants is a test. Planting peas in there. It's a shame we can't ask where the straw bales came from. Now, with contaminated soil, one thing you did not hear me say was burn it out, because I think we need an expert to answer that. I think when there's contaminants, burning it out would not be a good choice, just using common sense, but maybe there's something in there that is okay. Because, yeah, like when you grow straw and hay, people use broadleaf pesticides. So if it's not organic and you don't know, definitely if you put a tomato, pepper, or bean in there and it becomes stunted, curled, or twisted, that means it's got chemicals in it. And you were trying to just clean it. Like, can we just compost it? A hot composting flush. Yeah, the soaking the bale with a nitrogen, so blood meal or urea, manure, urine, letting the bale heat up, and then compost for 6 to 8 weeks, turning and watering regularly. The microbes will break down herbicide residue. You can inoculate oyster mushrooms or mycorrhizal fungi into the straw bale, keeping it moist and shaded during that if you're doing that. And then repeating a soak and leach, watering the bales heavily. Don't let the runoff into your garden if you think it's got residue in it. And then retesting, like put the bean in it. Will it grow okay? So it's fixable. A contaminated straw bale is fixable. That soaking with a nitrogen is what I was thinking of. Conditioning it, I think, is how I've heard it talked about. Jay says Halloween decoration straw bales that would go to the garbage if I did not claim for good. Oh, we're repurposing things. Okay, so which method do you want to do? Do you want to nitrogen soak it and stir it up and let it sit? Yeah, I keep hearing about beans being the best test because of how quick they are. Yep. Jay says the recreation committee used all natural decor for Halloween, including straw bales, corn stalks, and a huge assortment of gourds. It's always good to ask questions. Absolutely, with hay and straw. Jay's like, we're just gonna pee on it. Urea is common for straw bale conditioning. Yeah, we see that sold by, oh no, what is the name? Espoma. Dave says I just leave my straw bales outside for a year and then use it. The microbes would have broke it down by then. So I saw people sharing wonderful announcements. I appreciate all of my, what are they called, moderators. We also need to give a big shout out to the amazing Shawnee Grows members. You all make such a difference in keeping the community thriving. We're going to be able to do things like order a soil test kit and buy seeds for the garden next year. I thank you for your support, your encouragement, and for growing alongside me every step of the way. You're the roots that keep this garden strong. If you'd like to become a member too, check out the join button. It might say subscribe plus. You'll get special perks, behind the scenes content. And of course, when we get new members, we have a story time. Sometimes I offer downloadable printable materials to you, special. Why I have a channel is in there. There's also a link in the description if you can't find the join button. And of course, the Shawnee Grows merch store. You can now grab your own little piece of the garden. So in stock right now, we do have the fall garden flag, embroidered patches for your garden hat or bag, stickers and magnets to decorate your watering cans or fridges, garden themed puzzles for cozy evenings, and of course, our Shawnee Grows t-shirts, sweaters, sweatshirts, zip-ups, hoodies. Each design celebrates the heart of the channel, growing every day in every way. You can find everything linked in the description. And then the other announcement we have is I'll be a guest tomorrow. And I'm a little nervous just because I don't do interviews. The Urban Gardener has a channel, and the live stream starts at 1 p.m. Central Time, but I don't come on until like 1:20, and then I get 30 minutes, give or take, to speak. What do you guys want to know? And then after that, there's a big guest. Like, I'm just the little guest. So if you want to come over, I would really appreciate it. If I don't know what we're going to say in the chat, if we're going to say like it's the Shawnee Grows fan club, like what are we going to say to represent that you're there to see me? Hit the notify me. There's a link in the description. I'm sure there's links getting thrown at you in the chat to come on over. I have prepped a clipboard for the show, just in case my brain goes, I don't know. Let's see what we got. Jay says I get all that stuff to save from the dumpster. Big Will Dog hit his first year on YouTube. Miss Sharon's throwing out the emojis. Thank you very much. Jay, and wear Swanky Shawnee Grows merch. That's right. There's that link for when I'm on tomorrow. I'm shipping my kids away with a person to have the quiet for the interview. And then it's Kyle Haggerty, the Urban Farmstead. He's the bigger guest to stick around and listen to. Crazy Life Homestead says, great show as always. Yay for the clipboard. See everyone tomorrow, says Adam. Don't worry, Shawnee. I'll be the mall cop in the chat protecting you. All right, good. So, any more announcements? I don't think so. I think that was it. We're working on editing the October monthly garden tour. We're working on the allelopathy, whatever that word is, plants that produce a toxin. And then the reflection of the 2025 growing season. Those are all shows coming up. And then I have to look at my notes on what we want to work on in November for the shows. If you have suggestions for a live stream conversation, you can email me, shawneegrows@gmail.com. We started the podcast up, everybody. So Learn As You Grow is on Spotify, and I don't know where else. I can't remember. But what I'm doing is I'm recording the video audio, and I will put that in the videos tab since we're not going to have garden tours anymore. It's going to snow. Okay. So they're little conversations that you can catch whenever, but I want you to come in the comments just like we are with the live stream and have a conversation with me. That's how I'm going to play that. Jay says, I have been interviewed on Mr. E's show, and it is very, 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 very easy. You'll be totally fine. Yeah, and a lot of you are there, where it's all the same group. So I just am going to be nervous anyways about it. Yes, so if anybody's podcast people, the podcast has restarted. I released like 5 episodes this week or 4 episodes this week on that, but the videos for YouTube don't come out that quick. Because then, you guys would have a video, a short every day, 3 live streams a week. Like there would be too much content. You wouldn't be able to absorb it all. Is it iHeartRadio I have them on? Okay, yeah. I don't even know. Bowtie, welcome home. Why are you home so early? Oh, I guess it's 11. No, you're in Central Time, 10 o'clock. Oh, Bowtie noticed. Thank you, Bowtie. So in the winter, sidebar, I have this thing where I just tear apart everything and reorganize it. So we've done my van, the living room, and the kids' room so far. And so the desk has been moved over, and artwork is up for the kids' Halloween stuff. And I put the computer directly in front of me, so the lights are all not where they're normally at, and so we haven't figured that all out completely yet, but I'm closer to the wall now. Now, in 2 months when the Christmas tree comes here, all of this might have to move again, but thanks for noticing. Robin Garden says tours are a little same white stuff, and again this we have this much snow and then it melted and then we have this much snow. Yeah, that's why we switched to this, like the podcasty thing, and I am going to do videos this time. Last winter it was just audio, and so I have future conversations coming up. They're like less than 20 minutes. Oh, Bowtie's like, I see everything. Well, no one said anything, Bowtie, if they did notice. Um, yeah. Okay. So we've talked about what contamination looks like, how it happens, how to test for it, but here's the truth. Soil can heal. Nature wants to restore balance, and as gardeners, we get to help. Whether you're using bioaccumulator plants, introducing mycorrhizal fungi, or building living soil through compost and cover crops, every small action you take is a step toward renewal. Don't rush it. Start where you are. Test one bed, build up a patch, document your results. You'll be amazed at how resilient nature is once we start working together. If you've enjoyed today's show, hit the like button, share with a fellow gardener, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you know where that button is, okay? Make sure you've shared it out if you've learned something new. The more of us restoring the ground beneath our feet, the clearer our food and water becomes for everyone. We are about sourcing local, seasonal food here on the channel, having sustainability, surviving, having resilience, okay? I appreciate everyone. I hope to see you supporting Shawnee Grows tomorrow in the live stream coming up. Adam says, I've met Mr. E in person. No need to be nervous. He's an amazing guy. It's just different, you know? It's a different thing that I have to practice, right? We have to practice things. I feel like there was another thing I was going to say, but I can't remember now. Sand? We have white stuff all winter too. We shovel it, we sweep it, we blow it. It's everywhere, feet of it at a time. We just call it sand and it's here 365 days a year. I'm not a fan of sand, Bowtie, FYI. No, not at all. Well, I can't remember what I was going to say. And we've been here for an hour and 16. And usually we wrap it up because we had a show theme of contaminated soil naturally. So, like, usually we don't chit chat. Wait, what? Jay says, I may not be in the live show tomorrow. Birthday event commitment. Oh, I will miss you. I'm going to try and make it fun for the replay viewers too, like I try to here. I'm going to try and do that in the interview, if you're talking about that one. Bowtie says, Mr. E, you'll be fine. He and I talk frequently. Yes, and I have been interviewed before. Diva in the Dirt, which I did not link in the description. Oh, I'll have to do that. Bowtie goes, yeah, I heard you shout out the PBS thing on fungus cleaning up the soil. I need to go see that. Yeah, it's super interesting. Yeah, and anything over on It's All About the Biology, when they're talking to professionals that go and that's their job, they travel to places and restore soil where there's been contamination, or their business is to be hired to go to gardens and restore them. Like, there's so many good talks to listen to on that channel as well. Okay, so I'll have to say, what? Bowtie says, oh, I feed Mr. E interview questions. I'm going to have to come up with some really good ones for you tomorrow. I can't wait. The truth will come out. You could just send them to me first, and then I'll, you know. Like right now, check my email, or oh, okay. Let's see here. I have to do that strategically. And again, the show will continue with randomness of I don't know when I can go live. So like tonight, normally we're over at Self-Forest Sunshine Tropicals, but she is sick. And so I had to wrap up bedtime routine, and we started watching a new TV series, and I got one of those in with my husband before he said he's exhausted from work today. He's going to bed. Kids went to bed. House was finally quiet, and it's like, well, I have 15 minutes before I normally go live, like my time, my 9 p.m. And I had everything prepped. I had built the thumbnail. I had built the description title. I had the notes. I don't even remember how many pages it was. I must have closed it. Like, so we got this together time, you know, how awesome is that? And I don't know what you want to see or hear in the interview tomorrow, like the regular questions, or I'm trying to do two things at once here. That it? No, I have to go to my other one. Does it? Yes. Copy. Okay. And then we go to here. I'll read your comments in a second here. Okay, Robin. I finally got this figured out. I don't know if you meant like live or behind the scenes, but there, I provided it. Okay, there, you answered me. Yeah, we can do that because we're just gonna say, what is this? What would be the fun in that? Yeah, sending it to me. Adam goes, I'll try to live up to your standards tomorrow, Jay. Posting links. I'll come nowhere close, but I'll try. David loves Geppetto, right? Oh, I'm a good Girl Scout, less to be prepared. Shall I feed you a list of live show themes too? Um, I could tell you what I have already, and then we could talk. I still have to answer your other email. Oh, Jay tried negotiating with the birthday boy to still be in the show tomorrow, but no go so far. Okay. All good. I get it. Well, and it's like I don't necessarily want hard questions or easy questions. It's like what makes a good conversation? What merit badge is she working on? Robin Gardens, have you seen how they run Girl Scouts lately? It's less badgy, and I don't like that. I like badges. Oh, so I totally was impressed, Jay. I think I talked to you already about the informative email that is sent by Mr. E. Is totally like if I were to run a show where it was that style like he does, definitely. Dusty Flats, you're at the end of the show. We're all saying goodbye. Okay, so where's my private chat? There it is. Answer that question. Okay. Oh, there is the oh, Dusty's like, oh. Yeah, we actually were able to talk about a thing that was educational for everyone. And then, oops, and then here we are. So, we're gonna again, last time, I'm having an interview tomorrow at the Urban Gardener, and we're gonna have everybody support Shawnee Grows. The show starts at 1 p.m. Central. 1:20 is like when I come up for 30 minutes. Bochai says there will be conversation starting questions. You will do fine. If I get anything together before the show, I'll send you some, but I normally come up with them after the show has already started. And then it's like, here's the thing. We have 30 minutes, and then I'm off. So it's like, we know I could easily talk for an hour. So with that being said, as always, grow every day and every way.